goodness. Welcome. Hey. Welcome to the Meta Mind Shift Show. I'm your host, and my name is NiKole Maxwell. I'm so excited for today's show. I'm really happy to have everybody here. Man, it's the holidays. It is December, y'all. If you're listening to this later, know that it's December right now. And so we are going to change things up a little bit. We are going to drop that Christmas beat. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to change out the background. We're going to be all about the holidays. And so it is holiday season. I am excited. There is holidays-ness in the air. There will be gingerbread. There will be teddy bears with Santa hats. There will be parties in the metaverse. There will be divine feasts in the metaverse. There will be parties in the metaverse, but guess where there will not be parties? I'll tell you in a minute. So welcome to the Meta Mind Shift Show. I am so happy to have you here. Today we have a whole bunch of cool little treats for our viewers. I want to say welcome to everybody. So welcome no matter where you're watching us. If you are watching us on LinkedIn, hey y'all. If you are watching on MaxDistro YouTube, hey. If you're watching on the Meta Mind Shift YouTube, hey. Our Twitch, hello. Twitter, if you are watching us on Roku, Hulu, Google, if you're watching us on Amazon, Prime, or Audible, any of the billions of places that you are finding this broadcast, hello, welcome. Do me a favor. Stop what you're doing right this very second and do me a favor. Pause. Look at me. Do me a favor. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Share it and make sure that you are following us. You can also go out to my Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. You're going to be able to find me at I am NiKole on Twitter. Okay, so you are going to be able to reach us everywhere. So we want to make sure that our people are staying connected to the community. You are here at the Meta Mind Shift Show. Here at the Meta Mind Shift Show, we talk about the metaverse. The metaverse is coming. And I say this every week. The metaverse is coming. The metaverse is coming. The metaverse is coming. But is the metaverse actually here? My answer to that, again, this week is no. It's on the way, though. We've got some really cool things that are popping up all around us. And like I said earlier, we have the idea that you can throw a whole bunch of money at something and nobody comes to it. So we're seeing events in the metaverse and no one is going. We talked about this a few weeks ago and people were talking about the metaverse is empty and it's the most emptiest thing. And if you go back, you'll be able to hear that whole conversation. And at that time, I said, it may be empty, but it's just like a concert venue. If you go there during the day, there might not be anything happening at that given moment. But when you are in the metaverse and you are spending $400,000 on an event and no one shows up, that's a problem. And it's not my problem, but it is yours. So over there in the EU, we are looking at you a little side-eyed, a little funny because y'all just had a whole entire event and no one showed up. Your event promoters should be banned from life. I'm just kidding. They should be banned from the party for sure. So, you guys, we are connecting today and we are connecting through several different venues. One of them is MaxDistro. So MaxDistro distributes your podcast, vodcasts, your broadcast, your live stream, your webinars, your conferences to a variety of different platforms and locations, networks, if you will. And you're going to be able to get out there. So MaxDistro, thank you so much for what you do. I also want to thank Pod TV. So we're live on Pod TV. You can see us on the Pod TV website. That is at podtv.tv. And you're also going to be able to see us on the Pod TV Roku channel, on the Amazon Prime Roku channel, and in many other different places. So we're literally everywhere. So right now we are all over the place. We are decentralized in broadcasting. And that is one of the things that MaxDistro brings to you. So I also want to say thank you to all of the folks who are watching. So no matter where you are in this world, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tapping in. Today, we are talking about the blockchain. We are talking about the blockchain that's being built up, the blockchain that is aiding in building up the future of the metaverse. Y'all know if you tap in every week, we have conversations about the metaverse and how it's being built up, and how the reason the show is called the Meta Mind Shift is because people think Meta is building up the metaverse, and that is not the case. They are building up their metaverse. But we have lots of metaverse experiences that are out here. We have the decentralized metaverse, which is the metaverse that is based on the people. It is based on the user-centric type of activities that involve the community, not activities where we have these centralized databases harvesting us as consumers. That is what the future of the metaverse has in store for us if we go with something like a Facebook. We don't want to do that. We've got a lot of people out here who are building and creating, cultivating, and who are actually stepping foot into the metaverse to create an experience for all of us. Now, when you think about the metaverse, I want you to think about NiKole. Why? Because I want you to, because it's important. That's why. Because I have been telling people for the last 2 years now to step into the metaverse, to think about what it looks like to have your business in the metaverse, to have your individual space and your individual place in the metaverse, and how you can take what you're doing and flip that into a metaverse experience for someone else, where they can get up and walk around inside of the event or the activity or the idea that you have created. So as we are thinking about that, there's lots of different components that go into that. We have some amazing women who are building up the actual metaverse. Now, I want everybody to know for sure 100% that there are people out here who are saying they are in the metaverse. They are saying they are in blockchain. They're saying they are in Web3. They're being awarded left and right for things they have never even stepped foot inside of. And that is an actual metaverse space. And so, you know, I have some very interesting ideas on those folks, but we don't waste our time on that. We waste time on, let me back up. We spend our time with women who are actually building out the metaverse, women who are actually building up and building out on the blockchain. And so that, y'all, is why I am super excited for today's conversation, because we're tapping in to the one and only Dr. Tammy Francis. And so Dr. Tammy is here today, and I'm really excited for this, because I have gotten to know Dr. Tammy over the last year. And I found her to be a treasure trove of information. She is just the coolest person that is within my realm. And, you know, I am excited to have her here, but she's also very dedicated. And she's somebody who is making sure that people understand. She's an educator on the blockchain, and she's an educator in Web3, and she's dipping her toes into the metaverse too. And so we're really excited about that. So y'all, we're going to head over to a commercial, and when we come back, I'm going to bring up and present properly Dr. Tammy Francis. Oops. Okay, well, we've got bloopers this show. That's fine.
Hello. How's everyone?
Dr. Tammy, you know what? I got ahead of myself. So I am going to pause and do this properly. And so in my most proper voice, we're going to do the right thing here, which is to introduce the one and only Dr. Tammy Francis, the catalyst, and affectionately called Dr. Tammy. She is the founder of the Catalyst for Change Global LLC. Dr. Tammy is a global business strategist, consultant, author, and speaker. As a strategist and consultant, she empowers and equips leaders, entrepreneurs, and business startups all over the world with purpose-driven, creative business solutions to build, grow, and scale while preparing for the future in business. Dr. Tammy has a Ph.D. in curriculum and instruction. Currently, Dr. Tammy is also a tenured associate professor in Texas and a professor at the Alt-Hash University, a global campus that offers online blockchain programs. As a consultant to organizations, corporations, businesses, and institutions, Dr. Tammy develops and evaluates blockchain-based curriculum and educational programs. She provides education and talks on several topics, such as new literacies, multiliteracies, blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, Metaverse, decentralized autonomous organizations or DAOs, onboarding to Web3, business development, the future of education and learning, and technology innovation in education or EdTech, the future of business, the future of work, college, career readiness, and careers in the blockchain, Web3, and digital asset industries. Also, Dr. Tammy is a TEDx speaker with an extensive list of publications. I want you to welcome with me the one and only Dr. Tammy. Welcome to the show, lady. How are you?
Oh, thank you. And listen, you didn't have to read all that, but thank you. I appreciate it.
I enjoyed it. Oh, this is so fun. I've been waiting for this for some time. Dr. Tammy and I, this is not the first time that we have come together, but it's always a good time when we do. This is Dr. Tammy, the Catalyst for Change Global. So excited. So Dr. Tammy, tell the people. Now, I just told them a little bit about you, but tell the viewers, who are you and what do you do? What does all of that really mean? What do you do on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, I thank you for asking that. Thank you. Because I know it can get it's a lot, y'all. But what I really do is I am Dr. Tammy, success strategist, business strategist, consultant, author, and speaker. And I help you move in the direction of more and prepare for what's next. And the many ways I do that, NiKole just read that off. And the many ways that I do that. But the biggest thing that I like to do is focus on who you are, where are you going, and making sure that what you're embarking on, your goals that you have, the vision you have for your life is in alignment with who you are and where you're going, and is preparing you for the future. And so I consider myself the catalyst, which means I'm at the beginning of the process. I help you strategize. You have this vision, and I want to make sure you're future ready, make sure you're ready to be competitive in whatever space you play in, that you occupy. And so what I do is I help you strategize in that space, whether you're wanting to transition a job, you want to, your business, you want to do something different in your business, you want to make sure that it's future ready, you want to make sure that you're ready for what's next, whatever that is for you. I help you strategize, and we clarify your vision, create an action plan, execute the strategy. And then in that and all of that, we're going to make sure you monetize your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And then I turn you over when I get you prepared and figure out how to strategically enter the metaverse. Once we strategically think about how you are supposed to do that according to your goals, then you go to someone like NiKole, who really gets you in the metaverse and really gets you diving in. And so that's why I consider myself as a catalyst. I'm at the beginning of your process and or when you're transitioning in your process. And then so you'll be ready for whatever's next for you.
Listen, y'all, she's trying to put me out of work. We ain't doing that.
No, they go to you because you get them in the metaverse. You get them ready for the metaverse.
That is, it's cool though to talk to somebody who's actually talking to other people about the metaverse too, because there are people who understand it. Do you get the critics? Do you get people who come to you and they're like, it doesn't exist, in Facebook? What do you say to those folks? That how do you approach decentralization with people? Do you talk about that as a part of what you're doing?
So when they really get deep, that's when they go to you. So when they're coming to me, I'm really at the beginning. And so when I'm talking to them, I'm just talking to them about these are your goals. And if you really want to reach those goals and you want whatever you're embarking on to be viable, these are some things you must consider. And one of those things is the metaverse. And you have those that like, no, no, or they have this. And then you have those that are, because of the buzzwords. Oh yeah, I want to be in the metaverse. I want to be there, but they're nowhere near ready. And so we have conversations about how do you strategically get there? What are some of those pieces? Because I think there's a process for you getting to that point, because that is what you use to create the experience. And that's the key for your clients, for your customers, for those that you're serving, for those that you want to impact. And so in order to do that effectively, you have to know all the pieces that entails into how to get there. And so what I like to do is back it up sometimes for people and let's break it down. And so I don't necessarily have, and we have the decentralized conversation because we talk about, I talk basically about different platforms and how they show up, kind of like you were referring to the metas, like those that are centralized. But I don't have I most of the time I'm not at the point when I talk about decentralization, it's more in the different pieces and what that looks like for each piece. So once they move into that, because I think the metaverse is like the ultimate. So that's why you're the metaverse goddess, right? Because it's like the ultimate. I think of that being the top. I think when I think of it as a hierarchy and when I present on this, I actually have a graphic, what I call the catalyst approach, which is my approach to it. Is I have the blockchain as the infrastructure at the bottom, and then you have all these things: the wallets, the community. You have NFTs, you have all those things, cryptocurrency. You have all those things as you move it into, because once you get into the metaverse, it could incorporate all of that. And I think that if you really want to utilize it, it should, right? If you really want to utilize it to the utmost, especially if you're a business owner, you want to make sure you capitalize on those things. But you got to know how to implement them and strategically implement them where where you're educated and how to get there. So typically when I have the conversations, I have the conversations at the different levels. So then when we really talk about the metaverse, we're having this conversation on why it's important for each of those pieces to look a certain way. So once you get there, you have that same feel. And you are prepared for what's coming next. Because, we have your thing, multiverses, right? You have these things that we may move into. But if you're so focused, if you're so thinking about it in one way, and the way that media is presenting it to you, which is more centralized, then you'll be limited later. Right. So I talk about it in those terms, and like how if you don't set yourself up for success, how that'd be very limiting, and how you could possibly be doing the very opposite of what this space is about.
Absolutely. And I think that it's really important what you said is the infrastructure piece. So the blockchain is the infrastructure. Like, I definitely agree with that, is the foundation of technology for the metaverse and for how we actually get there to the bigger picture. And there's so much going on the blockchain these days. There's that topic that NiKole does not touch, which is crypto. We don't talk about that. It's like, what's that Disney song? We don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about crypto. No, no, no. We don't talk
so
about
noted. So noted.
But just because, for those of you guys who are listening and you may not understand why, there are legal ramifications for people who are out here talking about crypto as if they're experts and knowledgeable. That's why anybody who's ever heard me, y'all know that is not something that I do. But there are people out here who are doing it, and they are not taking heed. And we are seeing that come into fruition where the government is starting to pay attention. So, Dr. Tammy Francis, what do you think of the government version of digital currency, CBDCs? What do you think about the government putting their foot in here and starting to regulate some of our core blockchain technologies? And what do you think about the government even paying attention to the blockchain, like just in general?
That's it. That's what I thought. Nothing. But to be honest, like, there's one thing when we're talking about regulation and it's being done properly. Because there's this one thing about regulation. Like, if you know what you're regulating, if you know what you are putting these policies around, and you are doing it appropriately according to that thing, whatever it is, in whatever space it is. And in this case, we're talking about, the things that related to the blockchain. But if you know what you're regulating, then that's one thing, right? Because then that looks very different, as opposed to regulating how you're going to get your cut from it, as opposed to regulating how to keep people safe. And so I think that's a bit different, right? But I think when the government gets in there, it's the purpose behind what they're doing and what's driving them to, regulate anything or get involved in anything is for their benefit, right? It's to benefit them.
Well, that's what we know. But we also hear that, it's because there's so much fraud and all these negative things, which there is. It's happening. We know that's happening, right? It's happening. But that's not why they care all of a sudden. It's because they're seeing the benefits behind it. And I mean, at least that's what I feel.
Yeah, and that's what I feel too. And that's why I say, it just depends on if they know what they're regulating. Now, if they're regulating to really protect us, those, whatever whatever it is, like whether it's their creation or something that's already created that's out there, if they're doing that to protect the people, quote unquote people, that's one thing. But we know that that's not historically, that's not how this works. And so because of that, that's my issue with it. right? That's my issue with it, because you have someone regulating something they don't really fully understand. And even though I know they have all these hearings and sessions on it, purpose. What is the purpose behind it? Like, what is the purpose you're listening for? Are you listening to protect me, or the purpose is, what can I do? Are you
Right.
strategizing for how it can benefit you? And so that's my question with it. Like, what is the real goal? And so that's the way I look at it when I'm listening to all the different things and reading the different articles. It's like, what's the
Speaking,
motivation?
yeah, speaking of kind of protection, we're seeing kind of one of I don't want to call it a staple, but a core one of a let me not say core. It is a popular wallet with a lot of folks,
Yes.
and that is the MetaMask wallet.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw a
Oh, yeah.
couple weeks ago, we saw Consensus, and Consensus has added the ability to, if I understood this correctly, they added the ability to actually track your IP based on the wallet that you have. So they're able to now geographically trace and track you and your transactions. And so when I first saw that, I said, well, wait a minute, pump your brakes. Hold on. Wait a minute. Is this not the decentralized space that we all said that, privacy mattered? And it was for a while, it was acceptable to be anonymous. And we all, appreciated that. And we all popped out our pseudonyms and our little nicknames and things like that. And everything was okay. And so, what do you think about that change that has happened? And by the way, this is a PSA, public service announcement. If you didn't know that happened, go Google it, check it out, check your MetaMask wallet, and react accordingly so that you understand what you are now giving up when you are transacting with one of our favorite wallets. So what do you think about that, Dr. Tammy? What do you think about the change? And first of all, did you know about it? And what did you think about it when you found out?
I did know about it. I saw it when it came out, and I was like, oh, wow. And so then I saw the community kind of step in and like, these are the ways to circumvent, right? To
Mm-hmm.
protect yourself. And so what all of this, like all the things that have come out in the news lately, what it has told me is that we really need to get back to education and really
Mm,
applying the education that we have. Like many of us are in this space educating just on, whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's on whatever, right? This blockchain technology. There are some educating on like onboarding into cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency for beginners and doing some things like that, NFTs, the metaverse. And so it's like really reminding me, like, we really got to go back to, that piece. And really, because I found like everything that has happened, if you go back to what you know about this space and how to protect yourself in this space, if you do those things, some of those things are really helpful, right? And can be helpful. But what I found is that I saw the community talking about that. And I realized that I will be honest, like some of those things, I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, and
yeah.
so I found myself even learning some things in this process when that happened. But what it also told me is that, and there's been other things that have come out with tracking, IP addresses and doing things lately that have really been coming out. And everything is going back to attaching you to,
Mm-hmm.
because I think Google even decided they were going to do something with tracking and tracking you to your wallet and doing some things. So I just think that those things people got to be mindful of. And so what I found is that, oh, now we need to beef up how we talk about protecting your data, protecting
Yes.
who you are and the how you moving and what you want to say yes to. When you click those boxes, what are you really consenting to? And
And
so
that's been my platform this whole time, right? Like, so what is it that you're actually doing? How do you think about decentralized? How decentralized can you possibly be when you're thinking about these things? And what's your level, right? Like, what is it that you are resonating with? What's okay with you and what's not okay with you? reading those terms of service, right? Making sure that that you're not just clicking, because that's what we do in Web 2. We just go to these websites and we click away, and all those little cookies just get stored in your browser, and they just sit there and listen to you all day long, like reading everything that you're doing and passing that data right on back to these other entities. But when it comes to Web3, we are supposed to be changing that. We are supposed to be making strides towards self-sovereignty. And that is why self-sovereignty is the thing that we should, to me, should be striving for when we're thinking about blockchain. Yes, the technology is good, but what is the point of that technology? And really getting back to what that means to us as individuals. So I'm enjoying this. I'm loving this conversation, y'all. We're going to take a minute and say hello to our sponsors, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about some more girl stuff, because why not? So we'll be right back. That's why I have Dr. Tammy here. Welcome back.
I was like, is it me? I was looking around like,
it's me. Welcome back to the Meta Mind Shift Show, you guys. My name is NiKole Maxwell. You are here at the Meta Mind Shift Show. We are joined by our special guest today, the one and only Dr. Tammy Francis, blockchain everything. And she is the catalyst for change global. And so that's what I'm going to ask you, Dr. Tammy. When you think about the blockchain, what are you seeing on a global basis when it comes to adoption and really getting out there? What are some of the things that you're seeing that are really cool? And then what are some of the challenges that you're seeing, if any?
Oh, that's a great question. Because I typically am the business development mentor for hackathons and incubation programs. It's really been interesting in some of the things and the ideas, the solutions that people are creating, whether it's been in real estate and or with just how people are transacting. I've seen some really cool ones with when it comes to real estate and how that works. Creators, really focusing on creators and those of us who are educators and courses and education and how it's being used in that way. So what I've seen is a shift. Before, when I first got into, I guess deep 2019, got deep into blockchain technology, a little deeper than initially. I was just kind of right. It was more connected to cryptocurrency. And what I've seen is the last year, it's been a really big shift, especially 2022, in really coming up with some great solutions for everyday life, for everyday transactions, thinking about those who are unbanked or underbanked, and those who are in areas where they may be limited in the types of transactions they can do and the access they have to different things. And so that's what I've really enjoyed seeing the use cases around the world and seeing how people are applying it to their area. Like, this is specific to my area. This is what we need. However, the rest of the world will need it too, or can use it too. And even when it comes to farming and how it's used with that, and making sure that those who are producing the crops are getting, how NFTs are coming into that, and how they are using that to benefit those who are, you know, producing the crops and doing things like that. So it's been really interesting. I really enjoyed the shift, that it hasn't been so much on this get the bag type of mentality, but more on how could I really impact and change the world. And those are the projects that I really enjoy working on. Those are the projects that I enjoy participating in. But I think that's been a big shift, is going from just looking at one thing until really like, oh, there's all these other things we can use. Some things are for the blockchain and some things are not. And what I found is some people are realizing that there's some Web 2 stuff, quote unquote Web 2 stuff, that haven't been solved yet. So we can't even transition to
A lot.
like just, broadband, just connectivity and just devices, access to the technology to even move into, I say we're probably at 2.5, but to move into that Web 3, right? Where we're making that shift to. And so that's what I'm really enjoying seeing, is how people are really waking up like, wait a minute, there's some current things that we need to fix before we can even invite people into this space, before we can invite them and try it out.
Yeah, and everything you said. So all of that is challenges in rolling out blockchain. But when you think about the bigger picture being the metaverse, if that's in game, because there's stuff beyond the metaverse, right? Like, so we know the multiverse is a thing, and then we also know the omniverse is a thing. And so while that might also be the name of a platform, it's also an idea of a concept. So that is similar to how the metaverse is a concept. Web3 is actually a concept. And we haven't reached it. Web 5 is also a concept, right? So we've seen that roll out. I look back at this last year, and roughly a year ago, a little over a year ago, we saw Facebook roll out their version of Metaverse. And tell the world that they were Metaverse and they were Meta and they were building the Metaverse, and that's what was going to happen. And they have since then partnered up with pretty much most of the other, specifically Microsoft, but a lot of the other very large centralized entities. We've also seen about a year ago, we saw El Salvador come out and adopt cryptocurrency as the first nation to truly, first country to truly adopt cryptocurrency as its native token, right? We've since seen tons of other countries either opting for consideration or doing the same. So they're following suit. We have seen companies in droves coming out, especially in things like the fashion industry, come out and say, we're taking part in the metaverse. I myself was amongst the people who said, hey, wearables is something that we're going to be able to have within the next 5 years. People used to say, no, there's no way. That's 10 years down the road. That is 10 years down the road. It's not happening. But we've seen wearables actually start to take place. There are interoperable wearables that can be worn, digital assets that can be worn by avatars in different platforms, across different platforms or different metaverses and virtual experiences. All of that I say because this space moves extremely fast. I've never seen anything like the way that technology moves in this space. And so it's hard to keep up. If you miss a day, like I've been heads down building out MaxDistro, I've been missing out on my metaverse stuff. And I feel it, right? Like it's hitting me. Like, what am I missing out on? Having to actually use news sources to catch up on stuff for the first time. That's weird. And so it's like, what is this? But when we're thinking about that and you're thinking about globally, and I think about all the people, like I'm in touch with business owners every day. We are talking about the metaverse. We're trying to find space and place in the metaverse. But you think about individuals who maybe they're not in good situations or they're not exposed to technology and they don't want to be. What are your fears for people as the future is progressing, as we are heading towards a future in the metaverse? What are some of your fears for our communities, whether that's the Black community, whether that's women, whether that's, Texas or any other state or kind of populace. What are your fears based on what you see globally in just not adopting?
Like we say in education, you're going to be left behind.
Mm-hmm.
But more so than that, like at some point, there's always that point when people wake up, when they realize, oh man, I need. And it switches from wanting to, right, to a need. Oh, I need this in order to be competitive, whether it's in a job, or I need this to be competitive if you're in a business and you're trying to manage your transactions, and then some currencies or some things are not available, or you're trying to connect with your community, and where your community is located may not be in where it used to be. It may be now in the metaverse. It may be, more in the Web3 space in some other way. And so I think that's what happens. People will get to that point where it'll be like, and right now it's so early. Like we say, it's not late. Those people who are eager, they're like, oh, we're late. We're like, no, you're not late. However, I think my fear is there will become a time then when it will be too late. Because like you said, things are moving fast. I think the pandemic accelerated things. Before the pandemic, research was saying by 2030, 40 million jobs will involve blockchain at some level. Well, now that's probably more like 2025. Like it has really accelerated, right? Or now, right? Maybe even now. I haven't, the research now and on that is not as clear, because it's still because it's so moving so fast, it's not out. But that has accelerated to 2025 now. And so to think that people will be left behind, which means then we'll be relying on someone else's system, which more than likely will be centralized. And that's what we're trying to get away from, right? We're trying to move away from that. That's the purpose of this space, is move away from that. But when you wait to the end, when you wait till it's too late, then in order to just stay afloat, quote unquote, then that's when you're doing things out of, because it's like, I need to do it now. I need to do it right.
Yeah.
And then you do those things that are not necessarily beneficial to you, your community, or what you're trying to build.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I think that unfortunately there are those people, and you know what? I'm definitely a proponent for doing what works for you. So there are some people who they're not ready to be early adopters. However, I don't feel like we're necessarily in the early adoption stage anymore. I feel like we've kind of transitioned just because of the number of people who saw dollar signs, and by people I mean large organizations who saw dollar signs and latched on to the phrase, the buzzword Web3 and the other buzzword, which is the metaverse. People latched on to those and decided, hey, this is a thing. Everything under the sun is now going to be metaverse, and everything under the sun is decentralized, right? And it's like, no, it's not. And no, it's not. And now it's getting watered down. So, you mentioned something, you said Web 2.5. I think that wholeheartedly, I feel like everything that we do is Web 2.5 because nothing's decentralized. But some things try to actually be decentralized. Like I found decentralized cloud storage. Like I think that is the coolest thing since toast and cinnamon toast crunch. But I think that there's some really cool things that are out here where people are trying to say, you know what, I'm not using the blockchain, but I am decentralized. So what do you think about that? Just thinking about decentralization, do you feel like all roads lead to the blockchain? Or do you think that there's room for other things and other technologies beyond the blockchain?
Yes, and yes. I know. I can't say both of them, right? Both of them, like we say, right? But I want to say both. But I think that there are other things, and there'll be other technologies that would be available and that will be out there that will present some of the same opportunities, like you were saying, like some of these things that are decentralized. So I do believe in that. I also think that because I also believe that not everything belongs on a blockchain. especially as an educator, when I think about those things and those documents, those things that we keep track of in education, like not everything needs to be on a blockchain or will require a blockchain, will require the blockchain. So I do believe that there will be other things out there. And so I think just that thinking, like just in the mindset of what decentralization is, what that looks like, what are the possibilities when it comes to that, I think that's a step in the right direction. I think every little bit at this point where we are is a step in the right direction, because it gets you to start thinking about, and making good choices, right? And making those choices that will serve you and your future, your legacy, depending on whatever it is you're trying to build. I think about businesses. So when I think about it, I think like that, but it could be just you personally, right? And how you approach things. So I think even understanding that concept is huge, because I realize that a lot of people don't get that. And many people love centralization. We've been conditioned.
All them Apple users out there.
Conditioned. Hey, don't be a hater. But they've been conditioned to love it. That's why the bank, and they think the insurance is for them when it's for the bank, and they think, and this, like I want to be able to go here, like wait, right? And sometimes, like even with jobs, right, and want to go to a building. Who says it has to be in a building? Why can't we go on the Metaverse and have our meeting?
Yes, and stay home.
And stay home. Hello, I'm all for that. Like there's other possibilities. And so when you have that decentralization conversation, then there's other things. And it doesn't mean you don't do what we've been doing, but then you can add some things that make it more accessible. And I think a lot of this is not only talking about decentralization, but it's talking about access.
Yes. And access is something that's super important. When we're thinking about education, I got a couple questions for you about education. So,
that's my topic.
What do you think, Dr. Tammy Francis, of grades being on the blockchain and immutable, no less?
So I don't think necessarily grades like when you're in kindergarten should be on the blockchain or even 7th grade, right? But there is but we know that transcripts are a thing. So maybe that final transcript and those grades that attach to the final transcript, that on the blockchain. So I don't think everything, just like I don't think conduct behavior that we keep track of and all those slips to the principal office, I don't think those should be on the blockchain at all. But I think when we're talking about credentialing and student mobility, because we know that jobs, no matter, even today, when you get like I've gotten several jobs and I've been out of high school just a little while, quote unquote.
5 minutes or so.
Only a few years, only about 4 or 5 years. I still get asked for transcripts. So those would be,
Well, you're in education, so yeah, I get that.
Like if I were to apply for a job, they want to know your transcripts because they want to see what courses you've taken. And then I don't think they pay as much to GPA and all that like they did back, just a few years ago when I graduated from college. But they're still wanting those things. So I think, not all grades, but that final transcript. Definitely, because I think that helps me from having to call a school and say, can you send me my transcript? I could just, it's in my wallet. I have access to it.
What do you think about soulbound NFTs or soulbound grades? So that grade is not only something that's on the blockchain and immutable, but it's linked to you and your person and forever because it's on the blockchain, right? So you can't get away from it. What do you think about that?
I don't see now, like I say, not all grades, but the final transcript, I don't see anything wrong because I think that those things are still attached to me now, like even in the Web2 space. When I move, that goes with me and it's on there. It's big at the top, whatever that GPA is. I'm not going to say what mine was undergraduate because I did a little too much then, but my doctoral won 4.0. I'll tell you that one, right? Those things are attached to me anyway right now.
Right.
So I don't necessarily see it being a bad thing if it's just that final, just the one, whatever level it is, whether it's high school.
Okay, wait, let's break that down a little bit. So like the difference to me would be that right now I would have to request that, right? So I would have to request
Yeah.
request that you send that over to me, or that you consent to sending that to me. But if we're putting it, let's say that private blockchains are not in conversation here, and we're putting that information on the blockchain as an NFT, then potentially that is a public announcement of whatever that grade was. And so not only just you as a person, but I also think about people who had, certain circumstances, like everybody who graduated in 2020 because we were dealing with the pandemic, 2020, 2021, heck, even 2022, rolling out of that. But they had special mental considerations. They had physical considerations. They had all these other things that are going on. People who experienced who some sort of loss within a year that they were graduating. If we're looking at just that final transcript, is that fair?
Yes.
Okay.
That was a yes or no question, so I had to pick one.
Not expecting a yes there.
And so the reason I picked it was a yes or no question, so I had to pick one. And the only reason I say yes is because typically it's cumulative, right? It's not just that one semester, that 1 year. Whereas if you put the individual years, people will see those dips and valleys. Whereas when you have the final, it's cumulative. So it's everything you've done, the good and the bad. And so it's kind of that average of it. And so I think that's a better look than you see in my 2020, how I really took a dip. Because I was keeping the Zoom,
Okay, so wait, before we head out, you guys, this has gone by entirely too fast. We could keep recording for another 6 hours or so. I'm sure.
I know we're just getting into education. Like, let's go.
Let me ask you, Dr. Tammy, you are an author, you are an educator, and I have already shown how people can get in touch with you, but what is your ask for people to tap in? And then, kind of say your final words to folks, and then we will head out of here.
Oh my goodness, y'all. It's a whirlwind. So you can follow me everywhere. My handle is right there on the screen, Dr. Tammy Francis. I'm Dr. Tammy Francis everywhere. You could also follow Catalyst for Change Global. We have handles for that too, C4C Global 1. You can follow me. So that's my first ask, because if you follow me, then you'll see some of the things that I'm offering, some of the things that I'm available. You'll even see my link tree posted in my bios on my social media platforms, which have my different offerings. Because I'm doing I think I'm doing some amazing things, and I like for you to join me. I'll do things like this and different speaking engagements where we have different conversations. And so you can kind of, one, get to know me, and two, you can see what I'm offering and see if that's something that will help you on your journey toward more. That's my goal, is that wherever you are on your journey, that something that I offer can help you on your journey. And so whether it's my blockchain empowered conversations and you want to join the blockchain empowered conversations, and let's have a conversation about what's important to you. And we break that down, and I give you resources and research around that. Or if you want to join me in Morocco for our retreat.
That's what I'm waiting for. I'm like, you are not getting out of here without talking about Morocco, because that is
Morocco. In 2023, we're going to Morocco, and typically I do an intensive, and this particular retreat is future focused. So we'll be doing some intensive around that, and having workshops around that. So, and we'll be just sightseeing and having fun. So it's a week-long trip where we kind of put in a few workshops where I can help you really strategize on what's next for you and your goals, and moving into the metaverse. So you know when you need to contact Miss NiKole. And so we'll be doing that. And then we'll be having some fun. So we have that in 2023. And I have some other things that I will be announcing that I'm not ready to announce yet. But just stay tuned. But I think if you follow me and you tap into my sites and my link tree, you'll see some of the things I'm offering. And I hope that you'll join me on this journey.
And listen, y'all, Morocco. So Morocco, if for anybody who doesn't know, is NiKole's favorite place on this whole entire earth.
I didn't know that.
My favorite places are usually Pluto and space, but here on Earth, it is Morocco. So if you would like to have a Dr. Tammy and NiKole collaboration in Morocco, or
make that happen.
Look, I'm trying to make this happen. Or or anytime, because we need to do a conference together. Put a 1 in the chat, type into the comments, leave comments if you're watching this on replays. But that is something that should happen, and we should put that together because I think it's a good idea. So you guys, Dr. Tammy Francis, everybody. Strong J, strong J. Thank you, Dr. Tammy. I am going to just wrap us up and get us out of here. You guys are watching the Meta Mind Shift Show. My name is NiKole Maxwell. I'm happy to have each one of you here with us. I am sparking off some brand new endeavors, so we only got a few minutes to talk about those. But I want to send out some reminders really quickly. So when we are thinking about your future, and you're thinking about a future in the metaverse, call me. I want you to connect. You can reach me at metamindshift.com. Just click on the schedule button and you will be able to connect with me there. I am also the CEO of Black Multiverse Enterprises, and Black Multiverse is continuing our endeavor to roll out Google Basics to everybody. We are a gold star, high impact performing partner for 2022 with the Grow with Google program. We have created a Skill Up program that every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Standard Time, we talk about how to skill up and the things that you need to do to connect with us. We want to also give a shout out to Mark Lee and Lee Entertainment. Mark and I have endeavored on a new venture, and that venture is called MaxDistro. We are maximizing distribution. So at the beginning, I rattled off 8,000 different spaces where you can watch this broadcast. That's what we're doing. We are helping people to be seen. So when you are thinking about yourself as a decentralized innovator like me, or you are thinking about yourself as a creative or an artist or somebody who is out here in the production space, and you are on a central platform, our platform or our product or service is helping you to be seen everywhere. We want to take your message and put it in the hands of people who actually are listening and waiting and ready for it. So connect with us, maxdistro.live. You can reach us at info@maxdistro.live. You can reach me at metamindshift.com. I want to thank all of our sponsors, which I am going to quickly throw up here on screen if I can find it, which that's always a challenge. But I also want to thank Artsy and VR. I want to thank the EE Testing Center, and I want to thank everyone who has tapped in to support this show and all of our endeavors, my endeavors throughout the year, including Dr. Tammy Francis. She is a member of the Board of Advisors for Black Multiverse. So we thank her. We thank all of our other advisors. If you are not watching Naja Roberts over on Tavis Smiley Radio, 1580 KBLA, do that because they had some kids in them studios this week. It was the cutest thing ever. You guys, we are heading out. I want to say thank you so much to all of our community over at Blackverse and to everyone who continually taps into the show. Get your Meta Mind Shift Show t-shirts. You can go to maxdistro.store or maxdistro.live to connect with that t-shirt or reach out to me and I will send you the links as well. Connect with us in the comments. This is NiKole and my voice is resting. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your week. It's almost the end of the year. Oh my God.